Okay. I think I gotta go and do. This is a mic right here, as of right now.
Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Independent Insight. Alec Griffin here. Who I got with me right now? Who is it right now?
My name is Aaron Michael Chavez.
Aaron Michael Chavez, bro. Tell everybody how we know each other. How did you and I meet?
The first time we met was probably back in high school. I couldn't tell you exactly the year. Probably like 2012, 2013, one of those years. We saw each other in theater. Great time we had. We connected pretty instantly, mostly because we were in the same class and we had to.
And you know what? You son of a bitch. It sounds like you're over here like I didn't want to hang out with Alec. I didn't want to hang out with Alec, but here we are anyways, dude. But and I actually want to touch up on something we just talked about earlier. So we're doing this Independent Insight, guys. This is Aaron right here. This is my boy. Dude, I love you, dude, because like you and I we have some deep conversations.
Yes,
I do want to let people know it's funny because like we were just talking about something earlier that I think makes people who were in theater unique, because we met each other through theater, and we were talking about this earlier, dude, where it's like you feel more confident in yourself when you have to put yourself out there in front of other people.
Yes, I completely agree with that, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put myself out there in the respect that, I don't really like to talk about this. It's something that, I don't even know if I could say it goes against my manhood or anything, but...
Oh, shit, let's hear it. What are you talking about?
Okay, so...
yeah, go for a sideball. Let's go.
At this point, I hate to talk about it. Like I said, I have been depressed in the past.
Okay.
And I think most of it stems from the fact that I wasn't necessarily in theater anymore. And what I mean by that is, in theater, you literally do have to put yourself out there. You have to put yourself on a stage for people to see you as a different character, to see you as someone who plays these roles, but also plays these roles in a respectable way, versus someone who, like if I was just acting right now, I'm sure you would be able to tell. And at this point, I'm being genuine.
Yeah, of course.
And so when you're acting, you have to be genuine to the character. You can't just be acting the character.
And you know what? Let me stop you right there, because you have to, because again, it ties it all back to it. You have to be confident in yourself in order to act like somebody else.
Exactly.
And I think that's what we were talking about, was like there's this filter. Like once you leave theater, like you feel like you have to actually as opposed to being who you are plus I can be other people comfortably, because it sounds weird, right? People people who aren't in theater don't understand, but you sitting next to me, oh no, dude, I totally get that.
No, I agree, and I'm sure anyone who's been in theater would also agree. Especially those people who have been in theater and then leave theater later on in life, they understand that, in theater you're so sure of yourself because you're an actor, you're trying to portray a role, and you're trying to like my theater teacher said it best, where you're telling someone's truth. Right?
Yes.
And so, in this regard...
Shout out to Miss Rollins.
Shout out to Miss Rollins.
You're telling someone's truth, yeah.
You're telling someone's truth. And in order to tell someone's truth, you have to be so sure of yourself in order to tell someone's truth that, to be completely honest, the lines kind of blur.
They do. But can I ask you something? Because I think people are starting to get the premise of what we're talking about. But can I relay it into what makes people comfortable, right? Because we're talking about... That's us being comfortable within ourselves, because we know we have to go outside of ourselves to be somebody else,
right? And
come back and still be ourselves,
right?
But at the same time, it's it makes you wonder. It makes you think. It's where does the truth lie, right? Because if you're constantly outside of yourself, can you come back into yourself and be who you are? And I think,
well, this is the whole thing about me leaving theater. So. In theater, yes, I had to be someone else, right? But I also was very sure of who I was, because theater gave me this sort of confidence where, I was okay with being someone else. Yes. I was so confident in my own self that I could be this new character, this new person, and convey their thoughts and their personality and their emotions.
Even if it was something you didn't agree with, right?
Exactly. I really could.
You had to absorb a whole new persona of, and I think that's what I really want to tie into. Like, I think theater people are the most open-minded people because they have to literally take themselves out of themselves and go somewhere else. Do you think that there's like this perception of people are more comfortable with who they are, and because they don't take themselves out of themselves, right? They don't drop the pride for their side. That like it's harder for you to talk to somebody who's like, no, I'm comfortable with just this. Like that, I don't want anything else, right? It sounds crazy, but how often do you meet people that are like, well, this is what I believe, and this is what I'm gonna stick with. And I think it's harder to talk to people who can't take themselves out of themselves, right? And again, we're talking very abstract right now, dude. I think people might get lost because again, they're not theater oriented. But let's draw it back to how that makes the world run. Is like people get into these groups where they feel comfortable, right?
You can call them cliques if you'd like.
That's the best way to put it, dude. There are cliques in this world, and if you're constantly stuck in your same clique, you can't look outside of it. And I think we were talking about specifically, and this is where you and I differ. Besides the fact that we can take ourselves out of our own shoes and try to like understand other people, because that's what acting is all about. You and I differed on this one subject specifically, right? Because you are an atheist, and I actually didn't know that until you had told me that a couple minutes ago. Because I kind of had a feeling because we were sitting there talking, and I was telling you like, dude, the good Lord saved me, this and that, and I'm not like
I just kind of stayed a little bit silent,
right? So, and I'm not like a super like Bible thumper. I'm not gonna push it onto you. If you don't want it, that's fine. But for me, I see it as this, dude. I believe in religion enough for the both of us, dude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I completely agree. Or I understand that, at least.
What drove you, and again, this is where we differ, because, we're in theater together, and, like, we can take ourselves out of our shoes, but this is one issue we differ on. Mm-hmm. What do you think drove you to be atheist?
Atheist?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
And when did it start? Tell me when it started for you. Because obviously, we're both from El Paso, Texas, yeah, right? We met
yes, we are, El Paso, Texas.
Which is a majority Catholic city, because you have Spaniards, you have your Hispanic Americans and stuff like that. It's Catholicism.
Right. I mean, I was grown up on Catholicism.
Okay.
Yes, I really was.
When did it change for you, and why?
Okay, so I'm gonna be completely honest here. I've been completely honest, even with my parents. I told them that this whole notion of me being atheist and me doubting religion, it really started when I was very young, and I didn't understand it.
In what regards, like, what was the first thing that really made you question it?
Well, to be completely honest, the very first thing that made me question whether or not there is a specific one-person deity or this one deity in general, it came down to proof. And to me, there is no proof. It's just the Bible, but these are second-hand. They're not first-hand, and even if they are first-hand, they're not, the specific person. It's not like Jesus ever wrote the Bible,
Definitely not. It's stories being told down here,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And for me, I really, the changing point wasn't necessarily when I saw this documentary called Zeitgeist.
Oh, you son of a gun! Zeitgeist. And I remember we talked about this when we were in high school. But yeah, continue.
And so it's not necessarily that, but once I saw this documentary, it kind of like solidified my belief that.
Or well, I mean, would you say solidified your belief, or would it say that it helped guide you down the same path you're already going down and reassured you?
Yeah, that's an actually very much better way to describe it. So, so I was already kind of doubting my own religion. I was doubting the faith. I was, at this point, I was going to Sunday schools. I was trying to be confirmed, and I've never gotten confirmed as a Catholic, mostly because I really didn't believe.
You started to lose it.
Right. I didn't believe in the Catholicism. I thought it would be wrong for me to confirm myself as a Catholic and take the Holy Eucharist and take the blood of Christ as someone who didn't really wholeheartedly believe in this.
Which is good because, I mean, let me tell you something, right? Because I I'm a little more religious, but
Right.
when you take on the sacrifices, you saying you're ultimately taking on. You have to take on this religion as a whole with that sacrifice. And I think we talked about this earlier, which is like, I don't believe in a one specific deity. I think I told you that earlier, where it's like, it has to come down, and I think this is where we're bringing it like full circle, right? Because it has to come down where I say, I believe that it doesn't, you can't chalk it up to one religion, because every
Right.
religion has its positivity and every religion has its negativity.
Right.
And you can nitpick each one, and you can sit there, you can have like a whole group of religious fanatics around each other that have different religions, and if they're all going to say, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, you're not going to have a constructive conversation. Because that's the problem with religion, is like, you have too many people that think their religion's right, which I can totally agree with you.
What about this lady who says, "I'm trying to help you, motherfucker"?
Oh, you saw a video, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so that was okay. So we saw that. That was a very funny, dude. That was a very funny a viral video that just blew up of that. Like, and she looks like she's on crack.
Right. She really does.
She's there in Walmart, right? She's there in Walmart, standing behind the guy, and what nobody points out, right, is that this woman is standing behind this guy, trying to quote unquote help him out. She has an empty cart, dude.
She really does.
There's nothing in her cart, and she's like, "Why the hell are you even setting? Like, why are you bugging this guy?" I definitely want a little more context to this situation,
Yes,
because she does say, "I'm trying to help you out." I think she even throws religion in it at one point.
She does. She's saying that you're gonna burn in hell and fire and brimstone, and
what?
I'm trying to help you.
Where did this come from? Where did this come from, dude? And I think there's super religious fanaticals out there, dude. I'm not gonna hold religion against anybody.
Right. I wouldn't either. And this is coming from an atheist.
And I'm also not gonna prop you up because you believe in one religion over the other.
Yeah.
And I think I even told you this, all right? Because I believe that religion and science help prove each other, because that was Albert Einstein's theory. And I think I even told you, I was like, okay, you have in science and you have in religion, you have three different things, all right?
Well, again, this is where we disagree, and mostly I feel like...
Well, let me explain why I think there's three different things in science and religion.
For sure.
So in science, I think there's a positive, there's a negative, there's a neutral.
Right.
And then in science, I told you, in religion, there's heaven, there's hell, and a purgatory, which would be congruent to the same thing, negative, positive, and neutral.
I completely agree.
And at the same time, I told you there's an equal and opposite reaction to everything in life. Well, that's what science says, and even religion tells you the same thing. The way you treat other people is the way you will get treated in the long run, or even how you spend your life is how your eternal life might end up. Yeah. Now, we don't know if there's an eternal life. I believe, I have faith that there is. I don't know that, but I have faith that there is.
Well, I have hope that there is.
And that's why you're not religious. That's why you're an atheist, because faith and hope are way
they're completely different. To have faith in something is to almost wholeheartedly believe, and I say almost because there can be some doubt. But if you believe, enough where you consider yourself religious, then that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not proving one side or the other. It is just saying that, if there isn't a God, then I was wrong. That's literally it.
What's one thing that because again, I'm not atheist, so like, what's one thing that could push you to believe personally? What's one thing that, like, do you think like you'd have to have like some existential crisis, or you have to like have a miracle happen to you? Like, what's one thing that would make you believe, dude?
I feel like one of the only things that would make me believe is something extremely radical, something that defies the laws of physics, that defies the laws of science in general. And like, let's say, for example, someone comes down to Earth. Maybe they were born here on Earth, like say Jesus Christ, and they present themselves as the Savior. And I look at them and I say, of course you're not. You're just someone who's trying to portray this character. And again, that goes kind of back to acting and whatnot. Yeah. But anyway, so that's besides the point. The point is what I'm trying to say is, you have someone who comes down and they perform a miracle. Like, let's say they absolutely, positively, without a moment of doubt, convert something into something else. That is kind of considered alchemy at that point. Like, let's say water into wine, like Jesus Christ did. You could say that perhaps he had some chemical inside the water that, was delayed for a little bit. He mixes it around just a little bit, and it turns into wine. I'm not saying that this is exactly what happened.
Of course not.
Yeah, I'm just saying that this is an example of what could have happened.
That meme, right? So controversial, but so brave.
Right, exactly. But let's say there was no powder. There was no nothing. He just touches an ocean or a body of water and it somehow turns to wine, and you taste it and it's wine. I mean, this isn't David Copperfield. This isn't any magician's technology. It's nothing. It's not an illusion. It is actually there. In that moment and in that instance, I actually could be converted. And I'm not saying that, I betray my own faith. What I'm saying is, I'm a person based on that I base my ideologies on facts and science. If this person were to somehow defy the laws of physics, let's say he started floating in the air, no wires attached, there was no jetpack or anything that you can think of, and it was literally just him. I could hug him and I could fly with him.
Okay.
That would, in my mind, it would just convince me.
It would convince you of religion?
It would convince me that there's something else.
A higher power.
Not necessarily a higher power, but maybe that, this person is a higher form of life form. Oh, and see, this is what I think.
Interesting, like a Goku. No, I'm sorry, I had to lie.
That's so funny,
like a
man.
Goku.
Yeah, exactly. This person's going Super Saiyan and is able to fly.
Shit, dude. It's funny.
No. And this is what I'm saying. So if a person came down trying to convey that he is the Son of God, that he is Jesus Christ incarnation, that he is, this person and this and whatnot, and he gives me some sort of proof. I don't think of the Bible as proof. I think of it as second-hand knowledge.
Okay.
As something, I think of it as stories. You can look back at Egyptian mythology, and it says basically the same thing as
religious scriptures
as Christianity in general.
Okay.
You have Horus. Horus fought the sun god. Or not the sun god. I don't remember exactly.
But it sounds like
Horus and Set, and Horus would rise every single day to defeat Set.
Okay.
And Set was the god of night.
Okay.
I believe so. And then Horus was the god of the sun. And so what happens is Horus would come to Earth every single day and defeat Set. But Set would come back and defeat Horus.
Okay.
And so this whole parody comes back to...
It was a religious belief at one point,
exactly.
But we can now explain it by science. And now I'm gonna, because the way I see it, and the way I don't know if you watched the Cosmos series with Neil deGrasse Tyson, where he narrated.
I don't think I've seen all of it, but I've seen a couple of it.
I definitely recommend not only you but everybody to watch it, because what he describes is actually Neil deGrasse Tyson. This is his own personal theory, because I think he's agnostic, where he says,
right.
I don't know.
I'm almost positive he is.
So what he says is, what we put God. I don't know if this is him. I'm pretty sure it's involved with the whole Cosmos series. The premise of, I don't know if it's God, but a lot of people put the things that they don't know into this deity of, just because I don't know it, it must be a higher power. So I can understand, but there's always going to be, dude, our species is limited by time.
Okay.
And I think the thing that scares me the most is that we can say, oh, yes, you know what, just because we don't know something, that's where we're going to put where God is. Because we can't explain it, so that is God. Anything we can't explain, that is God. But as we go through life, and as we go through our science process, we can start to prove things. So when we start to prove things, it's like almost like saying, like, okay, well, there really isn't much of a God because we proved this. What we thought before wasn't true, or what we thought before was like some sort of miracle.
Right.
is now explained by science.
Right. I mean, you can say the same thing about, let's say, batteries. So, in ancient Egyptian times, there have been a couple of instances where archaeologists have uncovered these vases filled with different types of acids. And the thing is, one was an anode and one was a cathode, and it made a small shock. We don't know exactly what it's for,
or how it affected them,
or how it affected them in general. But the fact is, nowadays we understand that an anode and a cathode equal a battery. But back then, back then they probably didn't understand that, and they thought it was some sort of miracle. And so, what I'm thinking is, or what I'm trying to get at is, there are many instances where, we see these sort of miracles as, wow, this person must have been a deity because of this. But if this person were to have performed the same miracle nowadays, we could just dismiss it as either an illusion by some illusionist, like David Copperfield, who's probably the most famous magician, or we could have dismissed it as something that science has proved. And there's a lot to prove in science. I'm not saying that science is completely perfect. Obviously, we have theories, and we have these well, I can't think of the other word, but it is another word for like a theory that isn't necessarily proven.
Yeah.
That
Well, theories aren't proven because it's a theory.
Exactly.
So theories aren't proven.
There's another word for it. I can't necessarily think of the word.
Hypothesis or something like that. But let me stop you there, because again, I think our species is so limited by time.
Right.
And I think I even told you this earlier, where it's like we will never understand consciousness. I don't think science will ever be able to put, because we understand life, we understand how the reproductive system works, but we don't understand consciousness. And I don't think science will ever understand where the conscious brain, where our human brain differs. Yeah, it's bigger, and we've been longer, we've been longer.
Right, we have more neurons, stuff like that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, we'll never be able to fully understand the universe. It doesn't matter how long our species is around. I think our species only has about, I'll be honest with you, 40 to 50,000 years.
Okay.
And I think our species will die out. But we've sent out our satellites and stuff like that. So our species will be remembered eventually by another species. But
this is where we fundamentally disagree.
Okay.
And I want to say this respectfully. So it's not necessarily about us, having a limited time span to understand a infinite amount of information.
Okay.
I think that our species, we are smart enough to understand what is happening in our world today. Obviously, there are
I don't think so. I'm sorry.
Obviously, there are things like politics and money and all of this stuff that gets in our way of human advancement and understanding and progression. But in the grand scheme of things, we're all just a tiny blip in our universe that is immense. It is absolutely immense. It is astronomical. You cannot conceive how gigantic this world is. Let me say something from, I believe it was in the 1940s. We thought our galaxy was the extent of the universe. Isn't that insane? Think about this. So we had our entire Milky Way galaxy, and we thought, wow, this galaxy is massive. It has millions and millions and millions of stars. It has a black hole in the center of the galaxy. This must be it. And then guess what? We sent the Hubble telescope up into the sky, and it sent us back images of galaxies far beyond our
billions of light years away. Yes,
billions of light years. Light that literally traveled billions of years to get to our Earth and tell us, hey, you are not alone. This is not the only galaxy in the universe. You are just a small part of an extensive universe of many, 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 many galaxies, millions and billions of galaxies, a number that is inconceivable to the human mind.
Infinite.
It is literally infinite, as far as we know.
Let's go down the rabbit hole. Not only you and I, but let's go down there with people who are listening, because what you're saying is we'll never be able to understand it. We're besides the fact
Well,
that
see, again, I disagree with that.
well, because I mean, what I'm saying is, and it sounds like you kind of like almost, I wouldn't say fed into, but you said just because we're limited by time doesn't mean we can't know more.
Right.
But what I'm asking you is, let's go down this rabbit hole. What if we're not meant to know more? What if there's people, well, I'm sorry, what if there's a species above us that's controlling? I hate to say this term because it sounds super fucking ridiculous.
It's like reptilians.
People, yes, dude. So I wanted to go down this rabbit hole because despite the fact that it sounds just as ridiculous as the flat earth, because we're not going to touch on that because you and I both know we're going to back, that's where we agree.
Right.
People who are flat earthers, excuse my language, flup you, right? I'm not going to say it because if I do upload this, I don't want to get demonetized, but like, flup you. It's stupid. All right.
It really
now,
is.
The reptilian, the lizard people theory, it's just almost as outlandish.
It really is.
But let's talk about other species in the universe.
Okay.
Who we're talking about, we're seeing billions of light years away. Where my personal thought is, I think the universe is just like a Star Wars movie. Where there is life beyond us.
Right.
There is life that. And it started, hey, let's be honest, dude. When we dropped the first nuclear bomb means the atoms, not only that, but
Well, I can actually explain this if you'd like.
I mean, let's get into it, but what I do want to explain is, what I do want to get at is that, and we can get into it more deeply, but I do want to explain is, when you drop something
that
powerful, dude, that radiation, vibrational effect, dude. I don't know, for lack of a better word, because I don't know shit about that terminology, but that spread further because radio waves spread out past our Earth. So you take a nuclear bomb, dude. Not only just one, we dropped a few, and even before we dropped a few, we were testing
almost hundreds.
And not only that, but after we did that, dude. This is when, like, the UFO sighting went straight the hell up. And I personally think, again, because I do have this religious belief, I think every life is precious to a higher deity in the fact that it depends on where you put your energy, right? Either you put your energy towards positive or negative, and at the end of the day, you're going to get that equal or opposite effect.
Okay.
And I think, what I'm saying, like, I think at a certain point in time when we did that stuff, where we started playing with our atoms, dude, like everything around us, we invited the rest of the universe to our species because we were saying, hey, we're bigger than what we think we are. I don't think we were bigger than what we thought we were.
Of course not.
But what we were doing was very, at the time, was politically driven, probably scientifically driven, and it was like one of those things where it's like, I don't know, man. It sounds like I'm kind of going off a rant, but you get kind of what I'm saying. It was like once we drop that stuff, dude, we open ourselves up to the universe.
Well, let me explain exactly what happens in a hydrogen bomb, and that it'll exactly relate to exactly what you're talking about.
Explain to people because you are actually a major in.
Right, I'm in biochemistry, so I understand exactly what's happening. So,
continue.
In my chemistry course at the University of North Texas, I took a course with a professor. His name is Dr. Kelber. Very good professor. I would recommend it if anyone wants to go in there. So, the whole thing of this dropping nuclear bombs and whatnot is that a hydrogen atom can only exist as H2. So it has two hydrogen atoms, and that is how it fills its electron shell. It cannot exist as H1. As H1, it is volatile, it is explosive, it will react with anything in the air. And so we learned, with the help of Albert Einstein and many other scientists, we have learned that this atom, this particular diatomic element, if we split it and we make it H1, it will react explosively with the entire surroundings, and it will create an insane amount of energy. And this is energy that we can harness nowadays. We have things stronger than the hydrogen bomb nowadays. But the whole point of this is that we are messing with the fundamental makeup of our nature. And so hydrogen, like I said, exists as H2. And when you split this hydrogen atom into H1, that's when it becomes reactive. And this reactiveness is what creates this high energy, highly volatile, explosive um, element and or material that creates these insane amounts of pressure.
Do you think that dropping these bombs was less about trying to get Japan to surrender, more of like actually trying to do a scientific experiment on a? Because I mean, when you see the people who came out of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, dude, like the people who survived, right? They look like fucking mutants, bro.
It's terrible. And then you have the movie. It's a terrible thing.
And let me, because you have the movie The Hills Have Eyes, which is completely fictional, but call me crazy. I think there were people who were like living around that area who might have been actually affected. Where there's like maybe some truth to that.
No.
Do you think it was a social? Do you think it was actually a scientific experiment to see like, hey, this is what we have. Fuck it, let's just use it. I'm not shooting my language, but like, let's just drop it.
They killed two birds with one stone, figuratively and metaphorically, and practically.
Super metaphoric and super practical.
They really did. They killed so many people. It's terrible. It really is.
It's bad.
I'm not going to say that it was a great thing that we did that, because it obviously was not. And, even Albert Einstein regretted ever trying to create this bomb for the U.S. government. And the whole thing about it is it releases so many alpha particles. These alpha particles are basically just supercharged electrons that go into other atoms and knock electrons away, causing a chain reaction and causing your molecular structure. This is things that are millions times smaller than the human hair to be out of place. Like if you study biology is on the microscopic level. It is so small, right? But what we're talking about is even smaller than that.
Wow, and this is splitting atoms apart.
Yes, exactly. Okay. And this is things that'll affect all of that. Your cells work together in order to produce, this human that you are. And if those cells do not work, or they don't work together,
so life as we know it doesn't even exist.
It ceases to exist.
So let me ask you something, because it sounds like, for lack of a better word, what we did was we almost, for lack of a better word, because I know how you are,
right?
We were almost playing God, right? We were almost taking life into our hands.
I don't even think that's lack of a better word. I think that's exactly what we were doing.
This is coming from an atheist, okay?
Right?
I like that.
This really is.
All right, cool.
So we definitely were playing God. We were trying to think that, if we split atoms, we will become masters of the universe, and we will be able to, create, like alchemists thought thousands of years ago. They thought, we can turn lead into gold as long as we, do this random stuff, and we put this and this together.
You don't think it got away from us, man? And that's why what I'm trying to kind of premise it off is like, it got away from us in the fact that we thought we were bigger than what we were. And when you do something like that, when you split atoms, I think that's a vibration that goes further than we could ever imagine.
No, it is.
I think it brought in, call me crazy, dude. I keep going down the rabbit hole, but I think, right, because you see all these, like, have you ever seen like these random ass animals or like these kind of new creatures they discovered throughout our world? You're like, oh my god, what is that? And you're like, it looks like an alien. I really think that there's other life out there, dude. I felt like when we did that, we invited ourselves into the greater universe of species who had more intelligence than we did.
Yes.
And we invited them in. And what I want to try to get at is that, Men in Black, you've seen that movie,
Of course I have. That's
do you ever wonder, because we have Area 51, we have a bunch of bases out there in Nevada that contain extraterrestrial life. I mean, you can deny it, you can say it's not true, but there's facts out there that prove it. There's people who have dissented from,
let's say it's not true. And this is me playing devil's advocate.
Okay,
I wholeheartedly believe that there are extraterrestrial life out there in the universe. I'm not necessarily saying that they're from Mars.
Let me stop you. So you're saying that despite the fact that we can split atoms and play quote unquote God, that we weren't inviting smarter species? Because imagine if you have a species that can understand what it is to split an atom further than we do, they're going to understand where it's coming from. They're going to come and visit. They're going to be like, what the fuck is going on at this part? Excuse my language. What the hell is going on over here? Because think about the kind of technology that we don't even know about, dude. Man. They're probably catching radio waves. Their technology from a different species that's, let's say, a couple million years older than us.
Okay.
Their technology would be able to understand when an atom's being split, because that is, again,
it's a very big step in human evolution. It's not even a very big step in human evolution. It's more like a very big step in sentient evolution.
Yes,
if there was any sentient being out there and they detected these I suppose you could call them gravitational waves. It might not have been big enough to create gravitational waves, but it's big enough to be able to detect far outside of our own solar system. And so what I believe is that, yes, after we detonated these bombs, perhaps, and I say this with skepticism because, again, I do believe that there's life outside
but you don't think it came down?
Earth.
You don't think it came down after that?
I'm not necessarily sure. I mean, there could be proof, there could be not proof. I mean, the government could be...
Let me ask you something, because when it comes to splitting atoms, I think this is a radical theory, but it is a theory that when you start to split atoms, you could possibly open up a black hole. Because, again, you're opening things and you're dividing things that should not be divided by bias. Well, because again, we don't know the science because we haven't gotten there yet. But we probably, man, it's hard to say because you caught me. I caught myself. Yeah, I caught myself.
So theoretically, yes, we could open up a black hole and destroy our entire civilization. That would be absolutely terrible.
That would be enough for another sentient species to come down and say, "Hey, dude, we are somewhat close to you.
Please do not do this.
Don't open up a black hole, because then we have these other planets over here that we're still trying to milk for all their gold and their water, and then, you know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
Because I think, if anything, right, because let's go back to that stupid ass, excuse my language, but let's go back to that stupid theory that I said, like, if there are reptilian people, they're going to try to control us as much as they can. They're going to try to say, like, they're going to try to come down and influence our world leaders, because, dude, if there's a sentient species that's way more technologically advanced than us, we're gonna be shitting our pants, dude. Again, if this whole Men in Black theory, like, right, I think it's funny because I've always said that the movies that we see nowadays in theater desensitize us to, one, other species, two, death.
Well, let me ask you something. So, if, for example, an alien were to come out of nowhere at this exact moment, and they beam down to Earth, and they say,
right here in front of this car,
exactly, right here in front of this car, and they say, "Hello, Alec, my name is this from this planet."
Let me tell you something. If a being zapped down right in front of me, the first thing I would do would piss my pants. Dude, I'm not even gonna lie to you. If a being zapped down,
you wouldn't be excited.
Dude, I mean, that's my excitement. I just pissed myself. And then this guy's first dealing with me would be like, "Dude, you smell kind of funny." I'm like, "Dude, yeah, that's
this is the little smoke."
I released myself because where the fuck did you come from? Type shit, dude. Now I don't know where you're going at. If someone landed in front of me, that would be my reaction, dude.
What I'm saying is, if someone were to come down to this planet and be like, "Hey, so we are bipedal like you are. You know, we have 2 legs. We walk on 2 legs. If you know, we eat somewhat the same things you do. We're not necessarily saying we're going to eat humans because they're sentient life. You know." Is
this what he's saying to me?
Yes, yeah. He's saying, like, look, we're not going to eat you because we're not as savages, you know? We're not going to just come to this world and just murder all of you and just eat all of you. No.
I would still be looking at him like this and be like, "How the fuck did you get down here?" I'm like, "Dude, that was cool and all. How do you speak English, and how the hell did you get down here?"
What if they have an explanation for all of this, though? What if they say, "So we hacked into your guys' internet, we learned your language, we came down here, we presented ourselves in a form that we would that you guys would understand, we give you the language that you understand, and we want only diplomatic relationships to you." What would you say at that point?
I would say that does not sound like a feasible thing, because guess what? Um, the basic bacteria of the basic construction of atoms, and you know this, right? Bacteria, when it comes across a similar source, will go to war. War is inherently in our atoms, dude. So if we find
inherently in every single atom across the universe?
Well, the reason why you would have a more advanced sentient species come down to this earth would not be to communicate with us, because if they had the ability to come here and study us, they would realize that this planet has a lot of natural resources, and this almost disproves me from thinking that there is more intelligent sentient life here, because if they were already here, one of two things: they would have already gotten rid of us. Like, we're like the roaches of the planet, because we're destroying this planet. There's a lot of natural resources that the extreme wealthy that they control.
Well, I feel like we're getting a little off topic at this point. We're getting more into the sci-fi nature of the universe and all of this. We're talking about how you and I differ in our beliefs of religion and atheism.
Okay, yeah, let's go back, because we did kind of go super down the rabbit
right,
hole.
we really did.
And I think that's really is because but even then, like, we're still talking, we still have our disagreements, for the most part. But let's bring it back, because I don't want people to get too far off topic with us, because I feel like already enough, dude. I think we've already gone into the rabbit hole. I think this is where what I want us to do, because I like what we're doing right now, is like, I want people to think outside the box.
Exactly.
And just because you and I differ on what our premise is going into it, doesn't mean that we can't at least, open each other's minds up, dude. Because that's crazy to me to think. I mean, everything you explained about the hydrogen bomb,
right?
Not many people know that. Not many people go through their lives understanding that you were splitting atoms. And
but the thing is, you got to understand that it's not necessarily just splitting atoms. What you're doing is you're splitting a pure elemental atom.
Holy crap!
And so yeah, this is the thing. So,
wait, hold on. Hold on, dude. I know you want to go down this.
I do. I really want to explain it, because this is my major.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's get. I want.
Okay,
let's give it. Like, let's hear it.
Perfect. So let's say you take water through a process known as hydrolysis. So hydrolysis is the process of putting an electrical current through water, and this electrical current will split the atom of hydrogen and oxygen. And this is how we make rocket fuel. This is a known fact. This is what we do all the time. This is something that happens on a daily basis. Doesn't create black holes or anything. But what it does do is it
son of a gun.
what it does do is it splits the atom of water, the molecule of water, I'm sorry, and it splits it into its elemental forms. It splits it into H2 and O2. And the thing is, a lot of people don't understand this. In nature, these diatomic elements, known as Brinkelhoff, or as I like to say,
let's simplify it though. It's
bromine, iodine, nitrogen, chlorine, hydrogen, and fluorine. Those are the three, and oxygen. I apologize. So those are the 7 diatomic elements in the periodic table. These elements absolutely cannot exist as a single elemental form. So you can never have Cl1. It does not make sense.
But you're telling us that we found the process in order to do that.
Yes, exactly. So what we did is we found that if we were to take H2, which is the natural diatomic element of hydrogen, that's how it exists in nature. It can only exist like this in nature, because if it does not exist like this, if it exists as H1, it becomes volatile and it will react with anything in its surroundings.
Hence the hydrogen bomb.
Exactly. So if you were to split the H2 atom, which is a very intensive process, it has what is known as London dispersion forces and what is known as hydrogen bonding, holding it together. If you split this, which takes, again, a lot of energy, it releases all of that energy into the surrounding environment.
Wow, okay.
And it also,
and it affects the life,
not just like that,
life,
but
right?
it reacts with all the elements of the surrounding environment.
Yeah, the immediate life in the area. So that's crazy.
Exactly. So even in space, you will never find hydrogen as H1. It will never exist. It'll always be as H2.
Unless acted on by an outside force.
Exactly.
Now, let me ask you something. I like that you explained that, dude. And honestly, I think you spent a lot of time explaining things that, one, I didn't know.
Right.
And I hope that the people listening right now understand, too, like, that was a little lesson that they can really take with them.
There's a little science there.
Let's get out of the rabbit hole real quick, because I do actually have a question for you, because, like, from what you're telling me, I actually was really curious, is like, because we have a problem right now with rising sea levels, right? We can get into we can get into climate change eventually. We can get into the rising sea levels eventually. But you're telling me that we can split hydrogen, we can split all these diatomic elements. Mm-hmm. Why the hell can't we do desalination? Why can't we turn seawater? Do you have a? And if it's a very long explanation.
It's actually not that long.
I can explain
it very quickly.
Okay, let's give it a brief. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Let's see if you can do it in 30 seconds. Here we go.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'll give you 5 seconds for me to explain it.
Okay.
So, here it is. Money. That is the only reason. That is literally the only reason. So,
I was like, here we go. 5 seconds. I'm tired. Money. So there's no money in desalination.
No, there is money in desalination, but the problem is we have corporations nowadays who take fresh water and they sell it. Let's say something like Nestle. Nestle is probably the biggest reason why Flint, Michigan is poisoned.
Amen. Let's not get too much into Flint, Michigan.
I'm not going to get too much into that. Obviously, we can blame Nestle all we want. There's really nothing that we can do about it at this point.
But you're taking fresh water away from natural resources.
Exactly.
Like, from people's natural resources that they should be allowed to have.
Exactly.
You're corporatizing
it's terrible.
Water.
It really is. It really, really is.
Wow, okay.
So, water is a natural resource. We should all be entitled to it. The problem is that corporations, they don't want desalination, because if they had desalination, these desalination plants would be absolutely everywhere.
They would literally bankrupt these other companies.
They would bankrupt the other companies, and the other companies pumping fresh water out of fresh natural resources would go under, and they would lose profits.
It's almost like the fossil fuel
Exactly.
industry.
It almost exactly is.
Oh, wow.
And it's terrible. It really is. So we can desalinize water. It is a very simple process. I couldn't explain to you exactly the process. It would take me a longer time than we really have.
But I like that you summed it up. Because that's really what everything comes down to.
Yeah, it's money and greed. That's really all it is.
Money and greed. And I think the next time we get into this, we definitely have to talk about money and politics, and how money really does affect everything around us. I think we should wrap it up here, because I think we gave. I think we
gave a really good science explanation to a lot of things. A lot of questions that people have.
I really like this, man. Guys. This has been Independent Insight. This is Aaron. Give us your handles, bro. Tell us where we can find you, because I'm sure people are gonna have questions for you specifically. You gave a lot of information. I want people to reach out to you. Give us your Twitter, Facebook, whatever you want to give us.
All right. Well, you can find me on Facebook, obviously, at Aaron Chavez. I am a supporter of Bernie Sanders. I know I just threw that out there, but please do vote for Bernie Sanders. That would be awesome for the rest of, society in general. And wait, hold on. You can find me on Snapchat as Azron Maximus. I kind of messed up spelling my name, and I put an S where there should be another A, so it says Azron instead of Aaron. Or you can look at me as the Phantom Menace. There we go.
And so I do want to tell people that even though despite the fact that I don't think we agreed on everything today, I think that's one thing we can agree on. Bernie Sanders, #BurnNotice, #Sanders2020, and we'll get into that later, man. You guys have been listening to Independent Insight. Aaron, thank you, bro. This has been fucking awesome, bro. We're gonna do this again, bro.
Sounds good to me, man.
Right, man. Fuck yes.